When I released my first video on AMC, I received some comments that this is not a valuation play, it's a squeeze play. So this is a follow-up video. We're going to discuss the squeeze play in today's video and whether the squeeze play is the way to stick it to the man, meaning Wall Street, or are there better ways to stick it to the man? If you're new to this channel, my name is Mariusz Konieczny. I run Microcap Explosions, a website dedicated for microcap and small cap stocks which are ignored and underfollowed by the investment industry. I also wrote 10 books on investing, one of which is available for a free download at microcapexplosions.com, so make sure you get yourself a copy. At first, when I received comments about how AMC is not a valuation play, a lot of people know that the stock or the company is overvalued, but that doesn't matter. I am clueless about the whole situation because this is a squeeze play, as if it was some kind of a computer game. And the whole situation with AMC really started because of the successful short squeeze in GameStop. I am sure many of you are familiar with it, but let me just repeat it here. GameStop was a stock where a particular hedge fund took a big short position. Short position meaning they sold the stock with the hope that they would buy it back at a lower price. And a group of retail investors noticed that the short interest was about 140% of the float and took advantage of it, bought up the stock, made it go up, and the hedge funds had to cover, and thus this created tremendous losses for the hedge fund. Now they're trying to do the same thing with AMC, but it's more than just a squeeze. You see, this whole situation with AMC, it's a movement. It's a movement of a lot of you retail guys getting together and wanting to stick it to the man. You want to punish Wall Street for, having the advantage and being greedy. But is this really the best way to do it? Are you actually benefiting yourself, or are you actually helping Wall Street make more money at your expense? So let's think about it for a second. In my first video on AMC, I talked about when AMC's stock peaked. You were paying $35 million for a theater. That includes the debt and the equity. You were paying $35 million for a theater, okay? That's a fact because stock has a business behind it, okay? And the business behind it, it's movie theaters. And you are paying $35 million per theater. And even at today's price, you are paying about $8 million per theater, which is still overvalued because under normal conditions, nobody would pay AMC $8 million per theater when those theaters are losing money, okay? There's no negotiation here. But a lot of you are saying it doesn't matter because it's a squeeze play, like as if investing was a computer game. You know that there is short interest on the stock. And at the current time that I looked at it, the short interest on AMC is only 18%. So it's nowhere even close to what it was on GameStop. And a lot of you guys are saying that they have to cover. They have to cover and we're going to make them pay. No, they don't have to cover. They have to cover only when they are forced to cover. And maybe if the position is so big for them, then they have to cover because they're forced to cover. The AMC short squeeze is not a surprise for them anymore. GameStop took them by surprise. Now, this is not a surprise anymore. In my opinion, what you guys are doing is you are literally creating better opportunities for the hedge funds to make money off of you. Because the stock of AMC went from about $9 per share to all the way to $70 in a very short period of time. How many of you sold at the top? Very few. It happened very fast, within weeks. And at that time, you were telling yourself, hold it, we're going to the moon, they're going to have to cover. You just created an opportunity for them to put on some shorts, and you literally ensured that they will make a lot of money off of you because You were telling each other, hold, don't sell. And I saw some comments that people literally put their entire life savings into this movement. And where's this stock today? From the peak of 70, which was like an intraday move, to where it is today, $15 a share. Look at the losses that you've created for yourself, for your own group, retail people, and look at how much money the hedge funds made off of you because you created this opportunity for them. Look, the stock market is a voting machine in the short term. In the long term, it's a weighing machine. The stock price will always reflect what the underlying business is worth. Some of the retail guys are saying that the hedge funds are greedy and they are destroying these companies by shorting them and forcing them into bankruptcy, not allowing them to raise money. Look, I'm not a huge fan of hedge funds, okay? But why are hedge funds interested in shorting those businesses in the first place? Because those businesses are not doing well. They're not doing well, why? Because they're losing money. They're not doing well because of the pandemic. They're not doing well because they took on so much debt, okay? So they were irresponsible during the good years and they never thought something like this was gonna happen. That's why they're shorting it. So they're not destroying the business. Yes, they're helping the stock a bit to go down, but they're not destroying the business. The business is already being destroyed. They're just reacting to it. And to say that they are preventing companies from raising money at higher prices to stay afloat, this is capitalism. This is not charity. Are you saying that the prices should be artificially higher than even what fundamentally is possible? And are you saying that these companies should raise money at these ridiculous prices so that they can survive, and then at the expense of people that are paying them during the capital raise? You wouldn't do this yourself. If something is not worth what it is, if something is worth $10, you're not going to go out there and give them 100. That's not what you do when you go out shopping. When you go out shopping, you spend your money and you expect something back in return. So is this really the best way to stick it to the man and transport yourself to the moon, which is where you want to go, by forcing somebody to buy a theater for 35 million or even 8 million right now because they're short? There's much better ways to make money, especially in this market, that can take you to the moon. I mean, is this really the best way to take you to the moon? Is to force someone to buy a theater for 35 million or 60 million or 100 million? There's no limit. Is this really the most efficient way to stick it to the man, to stick it to Wall Street? Let's talk about some of the things that you could actually do that are much more productive, that you can stick it to the man. You can stick it to the Wall Street. Let's think about hedge funds. What are hedge funds? They are entities that most of the time manage money for other people, high net worth individuals, right? This is not a great business that you think it is. They have terrible clients, hedge funds. They have terrible clients, short-term oriented clients. They have to report their performance on a weekly, monthly, quarterly basis. If they do not beat the market, they lose their clients. The clients jump from one to another. It's not an easy game. So instead of playing a game the way you're trying to play it, why not do things that hedge funds cannot do? For example, hedge funds cannot invest and have a long-term vision. They can't. If they do, they lose clients. You can take the other side and you can say, you know what? Forget about playing with hedge funds. Let me do what they cannot do. They cannot hold stocks for more than 6 months. Most of them hold it for minutes, months, weeks. You can take the other side. You can be like, forget this. I'm going to do long-term investing. I'm going to do fundamental investing. I'm going to do what hedge funds cannot do. Hedge funds have to use technical analysis, all these indicators, to watch what the market is going to do in the short term. Even though they want to some of them want to look at the fundamentals and invest the intelligent way, they can't, because their clients are too short-term oriented. You can take the other side. You can think long-term. That's how you can beat them. What else hedge funds cannot do? They cannot invest in small cap companies because they have too much money, and small cap companies or micro cap companies, they have smaller liquidity. Hedge funds cannot go there. So you can go into those places where hedge funds cannot go, and you can make tremendous amounts of money. Let me give you an example of what we did here on this channel. Oracle Research Corp. It's a company that I made a playlist about, founded about 2017 when the market cap was $3 million. Today the market cap is almost 500 million. The stock is up. At some point it was up almost 100 times. Now it's pulled back a little bit during the sell-off. But we went to the moon. We went to the moon and past the moon with something like Oracle. We found it. Hedge funds couldn't find it. Hedge funds weren't interested in the play. Hedge funds were too big for the play. We seized the opportunity. Hedge funds weren't there. We stuck it to them. We made tremendous amounts of money. At $10,000 would have turned into $1 million almost. What's wrong with that? Let's look at another company that I have in the playlist, Voxter. Look at the chart for Voxter. It's about 10x over the last couple years or so. When I found Voxter, it was a tiny little company doing amazing things, and it's going to probably be another 10x or more very soon, actually. I would say within 24 months. So it's going to be probably another 100x, and hedge funds cannot even invest in it. Because right now, Voxter is trading on TSX Venture, Toronto Stock Exchange Venture. It's not progressed far enough for them. It's not on NASDAQ yet. It will be on NASDAQ in Q2. Hedge funds can't really invest in it. Where are you, retail investors? What are you doing playing with AMC and GameStop when you have these opportunities right there? They can take you to the moon. Instead, you are playing a game that is impossible to win. You are playing a game that the odds are against you. And you are playing a game that you're helping hedge funds get richer. Why don't you just chill out, leave the cult following, all of the movement, and create your own movement? Movement that can literally take you to the moon. Movement that can change your life. Why are you playing with the big boys when you don't have the tools to play with the big boys? And you're trying to create a statement, and you make yourself look unintelligent because you are forcing them to buy theaters at 35 million or more because you say you have to squeeze them. You have to show them a lesson. How expensive is this lesson? You're the one that's paying for the lesson, and at the same time, you are missing out on opportunities the hedge funds wished that they had. But you're busy playing a game and following and reading a bunch of nonsense on Reddit, and at the same time, you're not changing your life. You're making yourself poorer and poorer every day, because at the end of the day, the hedge funds are going to win. You know why? Because they're right. They're right on AMC. The stock is overvalued, okay? And if they can sit out long enough, the stock will reflect the underlying business. And it is much lower than what it is today, and it could actually be zero if the business doesn't improve fast enough. And yes, I see the press releases. I see that AMC's performance is improving. So what? It's not even close to where it needs to be to justify the current valuation. Remember, in the long term, the stock market is a weighing machine. In the short term, it's a popularity game. So you can play the popularity game until gravity will take you down. In summary, there is no such thing as not a valuation play, squeeze play. These are all short-term things. Valuation will always win. Fundamentals will always win. I understand why so many people want to be part of the movement, why they are upset with Wall Street. But in my opinion, there's better ways to beat Wall Street. Beat them at a game that they cannot even participate in. Do what they cannot do. Think long-term. Go into places where they cannot go. That's the way to stick it to them. That's the way to change your life. That's the way to go to the moon. With that being said, thank you for watching. I hope you will choose to subscribe to this channel, click on the notification button, share the video, and comment on the video. Let me know what your thoughts are. Thanks for watching.